To begin with, I want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. And I don't know if you can have too much green on St. Patrick's Day, but the way these budget proposals spend money, they may be the exception to the rule. When it comes to the budget, the Assembly Republican Conference has always stood for two things: fiscal constraint and fiscal accountability. Unfortunately, the proposals put forth here by the governor and the majorities in both houses accomplish neither. I think there's some statistics that the public ought to know as we go through this budget proposal and this budget negotiation. First, if we adopt the governor's proposal, state spending over the last 5 years will have increased by $74.5 billion. That's 42%. If we adopt the Assembly Majority One House proposal, state spending over the last 5 years will have increased by $79 billion, or almost 45%. On top of all that, if we adopt the Senate Majority One House proposal, state spending over the last 5 years will have increased by $81.4 billion, or almost 46%. This was a number that kind of stuck out to me and jumped out at me. Was since Governor Hochul was first elected as lieutenant governor in 2015, state spending has increased by approximately $114 billion, or 83%. So, on top of all this spending, we have some of the highest tax rates in the nation. Indeed, on a per capita basis, New Yorkers pay almost $6,000 a year in taxes. That's the highest in the nation. These numbers are eye-popping. So the question becomes, what do all these tax and spend policies give New Yorkers? Let's take health care to start off with. The number one expense in our budget is health care. Medicaid spending is the most expensive in the country. We spend the most in health care per capita, yet we rank 29th in prevention and treatment and 44th in avoidable hospital use and cost. And despite the billions that are being invested, the challenges of inefficiency, overcrowded hospitals, and long wait times continue to diminish the quality of care. Let's move to education. We spend the most per pupil than any other state in the nation, and in the last 5 years, we have increased school spending by 45%. And despite all this spending, New York student performance remains underwhelming. In the last 10 years, the total student population has dropped by 7.3%, but state spending on education has gone up 61%. Clearly, there's a disconnect between spending and performance. Let's take another big budget item: transportation and infrastructure. As far as transportation, New York ranks near the bottom of states in terms of commute times, road quality, and public transit accessibility. Yet we have authorities like the MTA, whose budget of nearly $20 billion is bigger than the budget of 14 other states. Now, as my colleague Senator Lanza mentioned, when you have this size or this much spending, of course there are things that you're going to like in the proposals. In fact, there's a number of things that my conference has advocated for several years. Things like the child care tax credit and the middle class tax cut. In the Assembly, there's things that I like in that proposal too. In fact, we're very supportive of the majority's proposal to pay down the unemployment insurance debt. So in conclusion, I want to thank my colleagues for giving me the opportunity to speak. I look forward to working with all the members of the legislature in a very transparent and open manner to be able to pass an on-time budget this year that takes care of all the needs of all the New Yorkers. Thank you.